it's me, Mr. Mario, and as requested from the last video, at the end of it, I asked what you want me to cover first, the PS4 or the Xbox One, and the Xbox One ended up winning by a long shot. So, I'll be covering the Xbox One in this episode of Gaming Goofs. Also, thank you very much again to the people watching this. I'm still surprised that people are, actually watching this series, like finishing the episodes and all that. And also, for my last video, sorry if it was a bit of a damper, it was goodbyes to friends. We're done with that, but thank you for watching it. I appreciate it. Anyways, covering the Xbox One. So, we can't hide it. It doesn't matter if you're a fanboy or not. Well, okay, it kind of does matter if you're a fanboy because fanboys are blind to everything and try and rationalize everything that doesn't have a rational meaning. But, it's no secret. It's nothing that you can cover up. That Microsoft has goofed a bunch. A lot. A ton with the Xbox One. This was the main problem with Microsoft this coming generation. Microsoft this coming generation, compared to Sony and compared to Nintendo, is pretty much that gossipy girl in high school that can't keep her mouth shut no matter what she does. She will be talking about everything she does and nobody cares about it, and every time she says something, it just makes it worse. First off, excuse me, the whole DRM situation. First off, we had, I don't even remember his name now, I'm following him on Twitter, but there was that one guy in Australia who ended up leaking out specs and such, and details for the Xbox One dev kits, and he was saying, if you're not connected to the internet for more than 3 or 5 minutes, I don't remember how long, then you'd get booted off Xbox Live. Now, see, personally, from my side, I was looking at it like this. Microsoft was doing that for security purposes, and it was not a retail system, it was a dev kit. Now, in case you don't know, before the Xbox 360 came out, there was an occurrence where about 10 of them were stolen, and because the dev kits did not have any sort of protection like this, Microsoft didn't know where they were. In fact, I don't even think they were ever found. So, it's kind of important that Microsoft does know where their next-gen dev kits are. So, to me, that would make a lot of sense. But people who didn't understand that were saying, oh my god, the Xbox One is always going to have always online DRM and all that. And while that was true, and ironically enough, Sony was one to do that with their PS4. They actually filed a patent for it. But the reason why they did that was just, due to the fact that if you have a patent, you can end up selling that technology, selling that idea, which is always nice to do. So, that was a whole rumor thing, but people were saying that was from the official dev kit, and as I said, that was a dev kit, so to me, it did not matter that much. Now, when the Xbox One was revealed, it was awesome. I remember Johnny Guns and we did this whole big thing about it, we were streaming our reactions and all that, and it was great. But right after the event, one of the top guys, one of the head honchos at Microsoft, ended up coming out, and this was their downfall. This became their steady downfall, their steady decline. He ended up saying, well, you have to connect the Xbox periodically to the internet. I don't really know how often it is. They asked how often. He said, I don't know. I think it's like once every 24 hours you have to connect it online. And people raged. Now, you had two people. You had people like me who said, that is unacceptable for a game system. No, I am not doing that. And there were other people who said, oh, well, once every 24 hours is fine. Internet doesn't really cut out that much. It's fine. From a person like me, from my perspective, do you know why I'm against always online DRM? Because I bought this, and I lived through it. And if that's not enough, I also bought this, and I also lived through this. With this, you had Air, 37, I want to say. I didn't even touch this game, honestly, until a month after it came out, just because of all the errors and such. While as with this game, when it first came out, I was playing this, because I got my copy later, I'd say about a week after it came out. If you tried to connect online, just to play single player on here, it would say, most of the time it was just like, oh, you can't connect to your server, all the servers are full, wait 30 minutes. You try again, you had to wait another 30 minutes. While with this game, if you were playing single player, you had to always be connected online, and if you had a bad connection, which I did when I was playing this game, you would lag in a single player game, which, trust me, once you get up to some of the higher acts on this game, is a difference between life and death. It is terrifying when you're rubber banding and lagging everywhere in a single player game. So, because of those two games, those are great examples as to why always online DRM is a terrible thing, it should not exist, and it should definitely not ever touch a game console. So what Microsoft's been doing recently is they've been backpedaling a lot now. You know, even before this, there was a whole Kinect thing, and the Xbox One could not have come out at a worse time, honestly. I mean, 2013 is great, but we just had this whole Prism situation, the whole NSA spying thing, and then you got this Kinect that comes out, the Kinect 2.0, but it will listen. It's always on, it's always listening. Now, people were saying this. They were saying, well, it's always going to be listening. So it could be listening to you all the time. It could be watching you all the time. And Microsoft came out and said, no, that's not how it is. It's always, if your console is off, it is only going to be listening for the words Xbox on. But how logical is that? Just think about it. So you're telling me that it's only listening for the word Xbox followed by the word on. But the thing is going to be running in the background, and somehow, with like, if I had the Kinect right here, it would somehow not be listening to what I am saying to you at all. It would not be listening to that. But once I say Xbox on, all of a sudden it listens. I really don't believe that. No, I don't believe that. At all. So then Microsoft came out later, and they said, oh, well, you can always keep, the Kinect will be on, but once you turn on the Xbox One, you can go in and you can disable it from the settings. So, you can have it so it's not always listening and all that. And here is one thing that I really didn't understand that people were getting upset about. Now, see, I was thinking with the intent the whole time, oh, they're always going to keep the Kinect on. I'm going to grab my hard drive right here. If you're so worried about spying and all that, now, yes, I don't condone it at all. I think it's terrible. But if you're so worried about it, you know what you could do? I'll do it again. Okay, it's the Xbox One. It's the Kinect. When you're not using the system, you can disconnect the Kinect, and you'll be good to go. You don't have to worry about that anymore. If it's not getting power, it's not going to be listening. Now again, do I condone spying at all? No, I don't. But with my thought process, it's like, people forget that they have webcams facing them all the time, like the one facing me right now. People forget that they have cell phones in their pockets, tablets around that can easily be tapped into. So, yes, I mean, it is a terrifying thing, but it is just going to be a fact of life. That is it. That's really all I can cover with that, honestly. But recently, another backpedal was now the Xbox One no longer requires the Kinect, yet it is still being sold with the Kinect. So my prediction is, right now it is being sold for $500. I predict within about a year they're going to release a $400 model without the Kinect. And if they don't do this, I'll be kind of surprised, but I won't be at the same time, just due to the fact that Microsoft still really wants to push the Kinect. You see, one downside of the 360 was, well, not the 360 itself, more the Kinect on the original 360 was, it was a additional add-on that was, $150 at the time of launch, maybe even, I want to say 150, 180, somewhere around there. So it wasn't required. But while it's with this, if they have the Kinect bundled in, there's going to be more of an incentive to use it, really. So it was going to be good for developers. It was going to be a nice thing, but, now it's going to be optional. So I'm sure you're going to see a lot of people selling off their Kinects, but we'll see how it is. Now, with all this backpedaling, that's something I really haven't liked from Microsoft either, is that they're saying, one thing is possible and the other thing isn't. For example, they said, like Major Nelson, he said something like, all the DRM has been on the system. We can't just take it off like that. It's not just like we can flip a switch. 2 days later, I think like 1 or 2 days later, no DRM was announced. This was about a week after E3. Because you see, Microsoft came into E3, and the best way to explain this was the DRM was pretty much that elephant in the room. They covered games, they covered prices, they covered features, but the one thing that everyone expected them to make some type of even little mention of was borrowing games. Well, the used game situation. Oh, that was it. No, I goofed up earlier. Sorry about that. Sony was the one who patented the used game thing, where they were saying no used games. Sony patented that whole policy, and that's something I'll get into as well. But they wanted Microsoft to cover used games, and they wanted them to also cover DRM, and neither of the two were covered, so that was real bad on Microsoft's part. I mean, even if they just made like a 2-minute mention of it, it would have been great at E3, but unfortunately they didn't. Now, with this whole used game situation, that is all gone and buried, but that was a whole thing Microsoft was wanting to do. Now, there's the whole family sharing plan and all that, where they were saying, You'll be able to share your games with up to 9 other people. Now, people were imagining, they could just get their friends' accounts and have it set up as a family and do all that. I really don't want to believe that. Mainly due to the fact that, let's be honest here, this is Microsoft, of all companies. This is Microsoft. Do you honestly think they're going to let you buy one game and play it with 9 other people online? So 10 people will be playing off one copy of a game. Do you honestly think Microsoft, of all companies, would have allowed that? I really don't think so. I really don't. And the whole used game thing, they were just making it all complex and all that. What they wanted to do is they wanted to keep all their money. Now, excuse me, people were saying, oh, well, the used game thing is a good thing due to the fact that now we're going to see price drops. Now we're going to see Steam-style sales on the Xbox One. That's another thing I really don't believe. Just due to the fact that if Microsoft wanted to do that, and they would have wanted to win people over, they would have said, well, we're going to be blocking used games on the system, and most of it is going to be download only. However, let's say Halo 5 comes out. If you choose to get Halo 5, you have the chance to get it on sale, a month after it comes out for, maybe $20 or $30, as opposed to $60 because you're not getting a hard copy of it. Now, if Microsoft said anything like that, they never said anything about sales. That was all what people made up. But if they said anything about sales, it would have won people over, honestly, but it didn't. It didn't. And I still don't think download only is a viable medium for a console. Well, mainly a console that has been originated off cartridges or discs. That's why I don't think Nintendo will be good making a download-only system. I don't think Sony will be good making a download-only system, as evidenced with the PSP Go, and definitely not Microsoft, because it's the Xbox. People are used to going out and getting a hard copy of a game. That's it. Now, yes, you can download stuff off there, but you can't change people's minds. So, that's just how it is. So with all that, used games, that's no longer an issue anymore. They ended up ripping off the DRM, which was great. The only thing, technically, that you need to do now is when you first get the Xbox One, you do need to hook it up online, and you need to download an update that comes out now. I hope it's not going to be like the Wii U updates, where people were saying when you first got your Wii U, you had to hook it up and update it, and it took like 2 hours. I hope to God it's nothing like that. But once you do that, it strips off all the DRM that was on your system, and you should be good to go. So essentially, all Microsoft is doing is saying, hey, register your system with us. Once you register it, you're good to go. Now, is this good for people who really don't have internet at their house? Probably not, but we'll see how it all works out, honestly. And as I said, with the Kinect, now that's no longer required, and, all of these things that they were toting have been removed, including family sharing, which is also removed. Now, Microsoft has come out and said, yeah, we're going to be bringing in we're going to be thinking about, implementing it again, because this was supposed to be part of their DRM, which was a dumb thing, because, you can take away DRM, but not take away family sharing. And what's been worst, honestly, is not only Microsoft has really goofed up, but the fanboys, not the fans, the fanboys have really goofed up. Now you got people, there was this big petition online, and it was all these people saying, we want all the DRM features of the Xbox One back. The only thing they didn't want removed was region-free, which is one nice thing that Microsoft has done with the Xbox One. It is going to be region-free, and another thing that people are not talking about, which I'm really excited for, is there is no HDCP encryption over the HDMI channels. The Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 are both going to be HDMI only. The PlayStation 3 had HDCP encryption on it, which meant that you could not record anything over an HDMI connection, which is why capture cards like the Elgato require you to go through component or composite on the PlayStation 4. Well, PlayStation 3, my bad. While it's on the Xbox 360, you can record to your heart's content over HDCP. Well, HDMI. So many things right here. You can record to your heart's content over HDMI. So that means I can still use my Elgato on the next system, which is great. And that's another thing, because right now the PlayStation 4, they're saying, oh yeah, you'll be able to go ahead and record, up to 15 minutes of gameplay footage, while the Xbox One is only going to be 5. And the Xbox One is locking a lot of stuff behind Xbox Live's paywall, which, I don't ever think Xbox Live is going to be free. So that's just kind of another fact of life. Honestly, it might not be worth getting the Xbox One if you're going to go online and you have a free account. But honestly, with all that, what it comes down to, with me at least, with people such as myself, I wouldn't really be using the 5-minute record feature on the Xbox One that much, just because I got the Elgato, and now that I know that HDCP is disabled on there, I know I'll be good to go. So I'll be ready to rock with all that. I really don't mind too much. But now, with the Xbox One, it's like, it is actually a good system. I'll be honest, like, once I saw all that stuff coming out, like with the DRM thing, I was one of those people, I said, I don't care how many Xbox 360s I have, or, you know, that it's my favorite system of this generation, even though it still has issues. I'm not getting an Xbox One until they fix all this stuff. And the price point, you know, compared to the PlayStation 4 is $400. $500 seems a bit steep, but, you know, now that you see, you know, they're bundling the Kinect in there and all that, while as the PlayStation 4 is not going to have a Kinect bundled in, it's actually alright. Oh, and they're including headsets in there, which I'm really excited about as well. So they have the headsets in there, a few nice other features, which is something that they shouldn't have even removed to begin with, but I'm happy that they decided to, you know, actually come to their senses. So now, Microsoft, this is like the first time in history, well, at least console history, that a big company has actually listened to internet backlash of something and has done something about it. The only thing that can make the system better now is if they make Xbox Live free. But, as I said, I really doubt that will ever happen. But now, going back to the actual console itself, with not the console itself, but more the people, you have these people complaining about it. As I said, you had the crazy fanboys who were saying, you know, bring back all the DRM and all that. And then, you know, the only people, because I myself, honestly, I will be making a video about this later. I made it one before, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail. I am going to be getting the Xbox One first as my next-gen system, and I'm sure I just got slammed with dislikes by saying that, but I am going to be rationalizing it, so don't worry. I'm not one of those blind fanboys who's saying, Microsoft, take my money. No, that's not me. I've been around the block too much with all the systems to consider myself a fanboy. But with the people themselves, this is what I have issues with. For example, you know, there are people that as soon as the Xbox One was announced, they went out and they pre-ordered it, they knew about the DRM and all that, and people like myself tried rationalizing it to them, and they were saying, no, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be awesome. And then, you know, once DRM was removed, these same people were just like, oh yeah, I knew they were gonna do that from the beginning. You guys are the reason why Microsoft even implemented this stuff in the first place. Why they tried to do this, just because they knew people like you who are blind, who have the wool pulled over your eyes, are going to go out and you're just going to buy this system, no matter what. So, can't really, I don't know, fanboys have, there's something up in here. I don't get it. Like, there's stuff I do like quite a lot, and maybe I might call myself fanboy with some things. Like, for example, I'm a big Rockstar fanboy, but if Rockstar decides to pull some bullshit, I'm going to call them out on it. So, I don't know how much of a fanboy that makes me or not. If that makes me a fanboy or not blind fanboy, if I'm not one at all, I really don't understand. But I'm somewhere there. I don't know. But overall, I can definitely say this. It is shaping out to be a really nice system. I am excited to see it. I am excited to check it out. And the features on there do look nice. But it's just people have been nitpicking at every single thing about it. Even stuff like, for example, you know, people are saying, oh, well, you know, the Xbox One has, what was it? The Xbox One has, it has DDR3 RAM, 8 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, 5 gigabytes usable, while as with the PlayStation 4, they're saying it's going to have GDDR5 RAM, which is better, but it's going to have 7 gigabytes usable out of 8 gigabytes of RAM. Then Sony just came out and said, no, it's only going to be 4.5 gigabytes usable. So that was one thing. I don't even know where people got the 7 and 1 numbers from, but, you know, people are just trying to do stuff like that. And one thing that really surprised me with the recent Xbox One unboxing video, and see, all these, anything related to the Xbox One, it gets attacked by Sony fanboys. And not really Nintendo fanboys, honestly, but more the Sony fanboys. They come out, and, you know, Sony fanboys were signing the petition to bring all of the DRM back on the Xbox One. Sony fanboys were attacking all the Xbox One related videos and all this other stuff. But one thing, you know, when Major Nelson was unboxing the system, they end up showing the power brick, which to me doesn't look that big. But okay, I'll put it like this. People don't have anything to complain about now with the system, so you know what they complain about? They're complaining the power brick is too big. Just let that sink in to all the rational people out there. You got the system here. They've backpedaled a lot of stuff, you know. Now, you know, you don't have to be online all the time. You can run used games on it. You don't even need the Kinect anymore. All this other stuff. They included a headset now. And what do people complain about? The power brick is too big. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? People are now nitpicking. They are trying to find something. Now the Xbox One is that system that is out, that people, well, not out yet, but it is that system. It is like that one kid that everyone makes fun of, and nobody really knows why they make fun of him, but they're making fun of him just because the other people in class are making fun of him. You know what? I'm going to go, hold on, I'm going to take the camcorder right now. I'm going to show the back of my TV real quick. Hold on. Now look at this. Here we got the back of my TV. Okay, here, you know, we got the Chromecast, we got the router hidden back there, we got the switch, and we got the big-ass 203 watt original power supply for the Xbox 360. So you're telling me there is no... I can at least hide all this stuff. See, if I come out here, it actually looks alright. You know, you're not going to see anything. But see, you're telling me that there is no way, there is no possible way that you can just tuck away this power brick somewhere where it gets air. There's no possible way you could do that? Really? There's no way, because I'm pretty sure the power brick is not nearly as big as that thing. I really don't know, you know, the actual size of it or the specs or anything, but it didn't look as huge as what people were making it out to be. And at least they made it look better than that one, I can say that. So all in all, what am I trying to say in this episode? Am I, you know, a crazy fanboy for the Xbox or the Xbox One? No, I'm not. Do I support Microsoft with what they did? No, I don't. They made terrible mistakes. They made stupid mistakes. They made... the main thing was they couldn't keep their mouths shut. That is the problem. Recently, you know, there was a slight boost. They slightly clocked up the CPU on the system. And, of course, we all knew about it. But we really didn't need to know that. You know, Microsoft could have just kept their mouths shut and it would have been okay. But no, that's not how it is, and that's been the downfall of the Xbox One. But I do support Microsoft for their changes and actually listening to people. But, I don't know. It's shaping up to be a good system, it really is. I'm actually, you know, happy to see the Xbox One. It's one of those systems I'm like, why would anyone buy this? And within a few months, it's just like, wow, that's actually a pretty good system. And I actually know somebody who is a huge Sony fanboy for the past few years, and he considered pre-ordering an Xbox One, which was huge, astonishing, blew my mind. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thanks for watching, everyone. Next episode of Gaming Goofs, we'll be covering the PS4.